The Bulgers were your normal Irish Catholic family from Everett, Massachusetts, in an area better known as Southie. Whitey's father lost his arm in an industrial accident when his kids were young, and the family truly suffered financially due to that. Whitey's mom, Jean, was a first-generation Irish immigrant, which probably initiated Whitey's entrance into the Irish mafia and street life. While Whitey ignored school and focused on the street life, his two brothers, William and John, thrived in the classroom. Whitey became known in the Boston Police Department, and some authorities even nicknamed him Whitey due to his bright blonde hair. He started his criminal career off as a street fighter and joined an Irish-American gang called the Shamrocks. He was a very troubled young boy, arrested for the first time when he was only 14 years old. His involvement with the Shamrocks would lead to his first arrest in 1943 for assault and armed robbery. After his 5-year sentence, Bulger was released in 1948 and chose to go to the Air Force immediately after. Several years later, gang activity and bank robbery landed Bulger in federal prison for the first time. This would be a defining moment in Whitey's career. He started in an Atlanta penitentiary where he was involved in the MK Ultra program. After essentially becoming an LSD addict in Atlanta, he was later transferred to Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, also known as Uncle Sam's Devil's Island. After being transferred to 2 other penitentiaries, Whitey filed for parole for the 3rd time and was finally let out of prison in 1965. Keep in mind, the reason Whitey served 9 years of his 25-year sentence wasn't because of good behavior. It was because of the help from his little brother, Billy, who was a president of the Massachusetts State Senate at that time. After Whitey was released in '65, he was a new man. He learned from the best criminals in the nation when he was behind bars. One man in particular was cold-blooded killer Clarence Carnes, also known as the Choctaw Kid. Whitey literally became a monster throughout his years in federal prison. He became disciplined, he got smarter, and he got stronger. He knew he couldn't rob banks and be as dumb as he used to, although he found a way to be more destructive and get away with everything at the same time. He joined a new group called the Winter Hill Gang, which is a group that he would be with for a while. The Winter Hill Gang boss, Donald Colleen, was gunned down only a couple years after Whitey joined. Therefore, Whitey became the new boss and embraced that role by drug dealing, bookmaking, and loan sharking operations. Whitey was feared by all, which is one of the reasons he was able to be so successful.
They say true gangsters code is no children and no women. These guys were the dirt of the dirt.
You couldn't negotiate or play games with him. He would just kill you. He didn't care, he was ruthless. His right-hand man in the Winter Hill Gang was Stephen Flemmi. Flemmi was an FBI informant and attempted to keep a low-key persona compared to Whitey. For a certain period of time, Flemmi and Bulger could kill whoever they wanted, whenever they wanted, and not hear a word about it. With his brother in the state senate and his lifelong buddy John Connolly in the FBI, Whitey was invincible. This is also about the same time he became a ruthless, cold-blooded killer and less of the Robin Hood archetype that he was in his earlier life when he would protect the local neighborhoods. Later, it seemed like Whitey would just enhance crime in those areas, making things worse. Whitey was so cruel that he would murder his girlfriends if they wouldn't keep his secrets. Also, without anybody really knowing, he was also an FBI informant from 1975 through 1990, which is crazy because of how much of a criminal he was. Now, starting a family isn't always a good idea for a mobster because they become a target, and Whitey never wanted a family because of that reason. But one day in 1967, his supermodel girlfriend, Lindsay Sear, told him that she was pregnant. This was not good news for Bulger. They had a boy named Douglas Glenn Sear. Now, it's no secret that he never wanted a kid, but he actually learned to be a good father and love his son dearly.
I said, Jimmy, I'm going to have the baby. The baby's eyes were deep, deep blue, just like his. He worshipped the ground the child lived on. He was really amazing with it. After Douglas was born, I was really pushing him to go straight, if you will, and not have anything to do with anything that could send him to jail. And he told me.
Although, when his son Douglas was 6 years old, he died from Ray's syndrome due to a bad reaction to aspirin. Bulger was emotionally devastated from the death of his son and never had another child after that. Throughout Whitey's career, he was a bit of a playboy and could not stay with the same girl for too long. At the moment he knew the authorities were after him, he fled off with a mistress, Catherine Grieg. He and Grieg ran off to Santa Monica, California, where they would hide out. Shortly after he and Grieg's disappearance, Whitey landed himself a spot on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives. At one point, the only person more wanted than him in the whole world was Osama bin Laden. Bulger had such a successful flee because he stayed low-key, and also he was able to create a new identity for himself through his connection with the FBI. Although, in June of 2011, his life on the run ended when he was caught and arrested in Santa Monica.
60 Minutes correspondent Steve Croft went inside the FBI's 16-year manhunt for James Whitey Bulger. The search ended in 2011 when agents found the mobster and his girlfriend living in an apartment building in Santa Monica, California.
Bulger and Catherine Gregg went by the aliases Charlie and Carol Gasco until the FBI got a tip. Agent Scott Gargariola set up a ruse with their landlord, Josh Bond, and it ended one of the most embarrassing episodes in the Bureau's history.
Law enforcement found 30 guns and more than $822,000 of cash in his apartment. The trial began in June of 2013 for Whitey, and the jury got him on a 33-count indictment. And by no surprise, he was found guilty on November 13, 2013, and was sentenced to 2 life sentences plus 5 years. They found Whitey guilty of only 7 murders, but Whitey Bulger is the only person who actually knows how many people he killed.